Good evening, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer. I hope you're all doing very, very well tonight. Bringing you a fairly late recording by my own standards. It's, of course, not that late at all for most people, but hey, I'm a working man, I'm a family man, and it's kind of past my bedtime. But I'm still pretty hyped from tonight, and I felt I owed some of my subscribers, my recent subscribers especially, a quick message here. So, first things first, I'm hyped because tonight I got to play Paper Magic for the first time since before Assassin's Trophy was printed. Might seem strange to some of you, but a fast fact about me is that I live in the middle of nowhere. So, I don't have a local gaming store. I have to travel about an hour to reach one, and of course with work and family and life obligations, that's easier said than done most of the time. That said, my schedule lined up this week. It had been way too long. I was able to get up there and get in a modern night, a much needed modern night. Shout out to anyone from the cave who might be watching this. It's a great group of guys and girls who also live mostly in the middle of nowhere, but maybe a little bit less the middle of nowhere than me. And it's a really, really sweet little community up there. So anyway, you all following the Golgari build on here will be happy to know that I took more or less the exact build. I only had access to 3 Assassin's trophies, so I played a second Abrupt Decay main deck in its place. Otherwise, it's the identical 75 to the one I've been playing on this channel. So you'll be happy to note that I gave that build its paper debut and went 4-0. We took home the 4-0. So the results I've been having online were vindicated in paper against a different sort of test. We took down Red Green Tron 2-0 in round 1. We took down Mono Blue Merfolk 2-1 in round 2. We took down Affinity 2-0 round 3. And in the final round, playing for the championship of the night, we took down Humans 1-0. Game 1 was really long and grindy, but we just got there, finishing the game with a 8-8 Scavenging Ooze and a 7-6 Tireless Tracker, something crazy like that. And Game 1 went so long, and Game 2 also went very long, that I ended up, when we were close to time, being able to adopt kind of a defensive posture, a holding pattern. And, just kind of playing for the draw in Game 2, which would give me the win for the match. Now, the way our top decks ended up playing out looks like I would have won even if we weren't close to time, but that wasn't clear at the time, so I took the safer route, and it was good enough to get us the 4-0, so results with Golgari continue to be spectacular, and I continue to just love this deck. Now, speaking of this Golgari build and of the archetype in general, my subscriber count has gone, through the roof, at least relative to where it was yesterday. If I recall correctly, I had 51, and now I'm looking at 80 subscribers. So, to all of my subscribers, new and old, I just want to say thank you so much. And I have seen the several comments from a few different commenters advising me to join the Facebook group dedicated to BG Rock. And I've seen your messages, and I hear them, and I will. I'm actually not really on Facebook, so I need to create an account and all that good stuff. But yeah, over the next couple days, I hope to sort that out, and you will be seeing me in those discussions soon enough. I don't know who started, spreading the word about my channel in that group. It certainly was not me, but hey, to whoever who did, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And, you can find me on the MTG Salvation forums as well, and there's some great discussion that goes on there, but I've heard good things about the Facebook groups, and I will be checking out the Rock group in the near future. So I just wanted to touch base with all of you on that, and to say once again, thanks for the likes, thanks for the views, and above all, thanks for the flood of recent subscriptions and of lasting subscriptions from some of my oldest subscribers. Thank you all. I truly appreciate it. So, yeah, that was just my quick update about that and about my first night playing Modern and Paper in quite some time. And another quick note is that tomorrow, hopefully, I will be doing a close critical analysis of Reed Duke's recent take on this beautiful green-black archetype. Reed Duke recently posted a video to Channel Fireball, I believe it was yesterday, where he revealed the build he's been on for Golgari, and he showed us 5 rounds of gameplay. So, love Reed Duke, as does just about everybody. I'm not going to buck that trend. He seems like just an exemplary human being and a spectacular Magic player. So, I was very excited to see that, and I will be breaking down my thoughts on his list coming up tomorrow. So, stay tuned for that. But just to round out this video tonight, I'm going to take a break from the normal gameplay and deck tech style commentary, and I would like to explore Ultimate Masters. And so let's tab over here and look at what's coming out that's already been confirmed. Now, I'm not going to talk about the price point. I'm not going to talk about the availability of the print run. Nothing like that. Those points of analysis are not my strong suit. I will leave that side of things to the experts. What I would like to talk about is the fact that we as BGX players are receiving a metric ton of reprints, many of which have sweet art. So first of all, for those of you for whom budget is a concern, perhaps a barrier to entry for this deck, I hope these reprints drive the prices down enough where you can start playing some green-black mid-range and Modern. Like, I hope this set is successful enough and widely distributed enough that becomes a reality for you. And then, of course, for the people who want to, make their decks a little bit more flashy, a little bit more eye-catching, a little bit more unique, we have a lot of sweet options as well. And I want to talk about the art on these cards that can fit into our green-black deck. So, you're not going to hear any analysis about prices, about distribution, things like that. So if that's what you're interested in, this video is not going to address those, so sorry about that. But hey, let's remember, this is a fantastical game that is based in a rich fictional world, and the reason we were all drawn to this game initially, I suspect, has a lot to do with the flavor text and a lot to do with the art and the naming conventions of the game. I mean, it's just a huge part of the game, and it's one that goes underappreciated sometimes, I feel. We're all competitive players, probably, if we're watching this. You're at least semi-competitive, or have aspirations of such. But let's take a step back and remember that the cool art, the compelling world, these are things that drew us to the game in the first place. And I'm going to give you my own personal ratings of each of the green-black playable, reprints or new art in UMA. So without further ado, let's get into that. And I think it's going to be a fun little change of pace. So I like all this stuff we're seeing here. None of it's particularly applicable to Golgari, with the exception of Bitter Blossom. Now, Bitter Blossom is a card that's actually been on my radar for a little while. Some conventional wisdom about Bitter Blossom in BGX decks is that, yes, it's a grindy card, but it's a little bit too slow and painful. Like, we want our cards to be threats that either get us more immediate advantage, like Dark Confidant, Eternal Witness, stuff like that, or we want our threats to be things that can realistically end the game on their own, like Tireless Tracker or Tasigur. Now, Bitter Blossom, it's true, doesn't quite fit either bill, but it is still a nice grindy card in a deck that likes to grind. It gives us Tribal Enchantment, 2 very elusive card types, for, of course, growing the Tarmogoyfs, and if you're playing Grimflayer, helping with Delirium as well, or Traverse. And, specifically in our build, where we have no Dark Confidant and a pretty painless land base, this card's actually playable, in my opinion. I might be exploring it in the near future. That said, we're here to talk about the art, so let's talk about the art. This art is great. If you didn't see any of the framing, any of the text, the title, the color, you would look at it and say, "Oh yeah, that's a fairy on this depicted on the card." You can't mistake that. So in that sense, it's very nice. It's nice. The color scheme's really nice. We've got kind of a wintry feel to it, which the fairies always have. They're of course kind of cutesy and all that, but there's almost a sinister edge to them. To the mystical side of them is a little bit nefarious, a little bit false and sinister, and I think that comes through well here. That said, it does have some stiff competition. I like the original art of Bitter Blossom as well. The original art is more abstract, but it's very in tune with the feel of Lorwyn in general. So, that said, obviously the border extension here is really cool. I think this is a pretty sweet pickup. I cannot rate this definitively higher or lower than the old Bitter Blossom. I think it's going to come down to taste, but this is a respectable card. I'm going to give this new art an 8 out of 10, maybe 8.5 out of 10. Big fan. And like I said, definitely kind of fringe playable in Golgari, so keep your eyes on this one, and if anyone has any experience trying out Bitter Blossom, let me know. Just such a great value in this set. The set looks completely insane. Love the new Demonic Tutor. Engineered Explosives is a card that I play in the sideboard, and this is not new art, but the border extension is looking pretty cool. Now, here we're getting into the meat and potatoes, right? We have two cards that are both definitively playable in BG Rock or Golgari builds, and new art on both of them that I think knocks it out of the park. So, Eternal Witness, a lot of people are huge fans of the original art, and I like it well enough, but I think this is a really, really nice step up, in my humble opinion. I'm a huge fan of the atmospheric nature of this piece, everything it's got going on, kind of the druidic figure in full hymn mode. We've got the leaves here that animate, like kind of reanimating a wolf. It's just like, it's so thematic, it's just on point, and this is a card that really benefits from having the border extended like this. Like, this version looks completely incredible in my opinion. I'm a fan of this, and I like it better than the old one, I will say pretty strongly. Now, I don't think Eternal Witness is where we want to be in my specific build of, Tireless Tracker Golgari, but in the Reed Duke style of build, the Dark Confidant lower curve style, I think a One of Witness is perfectly playable. So if you're interested in that type of rock variant, then this printing might be for you. Now, Fulminator Mage is another card whose future is a little bit uncertain. You might see it when the dust settles post-trophy, people retaining all three in the side like used to be stock. You might see people moving away from him altogether. You might see people hedging with still one or two like I have. Whatever the case, I love this new art. Man, this is just so evocative. It's a powerful piece. You're right in the midst of destruction, it seems. And the destruction is raining down around the Fulminator Mage itself, right? So this is kind of the mage's last act. Of course, that fits with the text of the card. You have to sacrifice it to destroy a land. He's calling down the fire and brimstone around himself. And the actual, figure depicted here, just absolutely awesome. It pays homage to the original piece, right? So it's pretty similar structurally to the original piece, but I think this is, I prefer this way more personally. I think the artist here knocked it out of the park. this Fulminator Mage is possibly my favorite new art of this whole set. Big fan of it. And part of me hopes, indeed, that Fulminator Mage cements a place in the sideboard, because I want an excuse to play with this card. Just completely incredible looking, in my opinion. This Goryo's Vengeance is sweet. Love the borderless Karakas. Kitchen Finks is also kind of in the Eternal Witness category of a card that is generally playable in green-black strategies, but perhaps has a better fit in the Dark Confidant style lower curve builds than it does in mine. It's fine in our 25 land Tireless Tracker deck. It's fine, it's just not that necessary. We would rather leverage the flexibility of Collective Brutality in this deck, in my opinion. And between no Confidant, a Painless land base, and 3 Brutalities, I just think Finks is a little surplus to requirements. That said, if your local meta is just overrun by burn and hyper aggro decks, I might like the first Finks in your sideboard before the 4th Brutality. So if you're looking to pick up just a sweet one of Finks, you could do worse than this border extension. I think it's pretty cool. It treats the card well. But I personally am partial to the FNM promo Finks. If you haven't seen those, look them up. They're really cool. Love the FNM promo. Yep, so then of course we come to the most iconic Planeswalker in Modern. As I say often, it's not Jace, it's not Teferi. You know, Teferi's still too new to the block. He's the most iconic Planeswalker of Standard, maybe, but not Modern. And Jace, yeah, you can have Legacy. Modern is the territory of Liliana of the Veil, and I will stand by that. And of course, we don't have any new art. We have the original Innistrad art, but man, does it look nice with this border extended. I am a huge fan of this, and I'm sure the price will be extremely prohibitive, but I couldn't blame anyone who wants to go for this anyway. Like, Liliana is a card that deserves this treatment, and I'm so glad she's going to get it, and that at least some people will be able to play with it. Now, they did make a lot of really prominent cards got some new art for this set. It's interesting that they chose not to with Liliana. Now, this art is fantastic. It's classic. It's iconic. I wonder if they considered making new art for Liliana, and if so, I would love to see it. I would love to see even some concept sketches, because it would be cool to see another take on Liliana of the Veil. That said, you can never be bad about seeing this art reprinted. It's just perfect for her. Fits the bill perfectly. Next up, we have Maelstrom Pulse, which of course is yet another staple in our colors, in our style of deck that they are giving us. Again, not new art, but again, one that looks really solid with the border extension. I'm a huge fan of this card, as you know. I think it's an all-star. I think it's underplayed right now, and I think you should have 2 in your 75, basically no matter what you're up to in a Golgari mid-range deck. And yeah, border extension on this card, looking good if you ask me. I love all this stuff here. This set has just got me really hyped. For the Jund aficionados among us, the Raging Ravine definitely looks very cool with no frame around it. Snapcaster Mage, I like this new art better than the other ones anyway, so the fact that they went with it for this set is great to me. Now, we're getting to the end, and here we're getting into some controversy, some controversial opinions ahead. I am sorry to say that I do not like this new Tarmogoyf art at all. This one seems to polarize opinion. When I first saw it spoiled, I think it was on Reddit. Some people were talking, of course, about it in the thread dedicated to it. And from what I skimmed, most comments seem to be highly positive. A lot of positive comments getting upvoted heavily. So that suggests to me that I might have the minority opinion here. But I'm going to talk about the art of Tarmogoyf for a little bit here, because that's what we're doing in this video. And so, of course, you had the original printing of Future Sight, right? And that kind of has the monster under the bed, monster out of the closet feel, shadowy, indistinct. nightmarish, kind of allowing your mind to fill in the blanks, which is potentially more horrifying than anything you could actually see and comprehend. So I love that just conceptually. Then, of course, we have the Modern Masters art for Tarmogoyf, the newer art, not the newest art. And that's what I own online and in paper. That is my favorite. It is stark and brutal and realistic, and it's just this monster. It's just this horrifying monster in a boreal, wintry, forested landscape chasing an elk, and it's just great. I just think it's the perfect rendition of Tarmogoyf. And then we have this one. So it's interesting that they kept the same landscape, again, the wintry forest. It's still chasing an elk. That's cool. But to me, this is just over the top. It lacks realism. I don't know that the yellow color really works for me either so much. And I hate to say it, but overall, the feel is just a little bit too cartoonish for me. Again, I love the stark, brutal realism of the Modern Masters art, and this does not hit those heights in my opinion. I would have loved to have seen another printing in that realist style that we saw from Modern Masters with some new art. Even if it's just very similar to the old Goyf, just doing something different, or like in a different part of the forest chasing something else. Like, I don't know. That would have been cool to riff off of. I also would have liked to have seen them take a leaf out of the pages of the past, right? And go back to the more shadowy, indistinct feel. And maybe do something like nighttime in the forest. I don't know. Something along those lines could have been a really cool artistic space to explore. Instead, we have this. I understand that a lot of people like it, and I mean no offense to the artist or anything like that, but this printing is not for me. I will be very happy to stick with my Modern Masters ones. In a set that has given us so much bounty in terms of new and exciting printings to potentially add to our decks, this is not going to cut it for me. But again, maybe I have the minority opinion here. Let me know what you think. We also have Tasigur the Golden Fang. Now, this is this is a piece that I thought was strange at first, very strange, but it has grown on me the more I've seen it. Tasigur has a very kind of inscrutable and unsettling appearance here. Everything, like his posture, his pose, his outfit, or lack thereof, and of course the expression on his face, which is almost like inhuman, kind of not all there, or knowing something you don't know, and even looking a little bit like a doll or a statue. Just very creepy. And again, I wasn't sure what to make of it at first, but the more I see it, the more I like it. I'm gonna get this card. This card is sweet. I love it. It's done in the style of kind of a classical portrait. I think it's incredible. Big fan here. This is a win for me. It took a little while for me to realize that, but I do like it. And finally, we have Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. Now, this is a fringe playable card in Golgari. I personally don't quite find it necessary, but I think it's perfectly fine to play it as a one-of. It's obviously going to fix your mono when you're flooded with mono green sources and Fields of Ruin. This card alone can get you, double black for your Lilianas and all that good stuff. So Urborg is definitely playable. Do note the downsides, though. Mainly, number one, what do you replace for it? I really like every single land we have in our 25 land deck. And number two, you can sometimes fix the opponent's mana as well. So there are those downsides which have prompted me to leave this card out, but it's playable for sure, and it has some good upsides as well. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of this new art, especially the borderless one. Again, that's a piece that really benefits from having the border extended and the picture magnified a little bit. And it's very, very kind of Edgar Allan Poe vibe going on here, in my opinion. It's kind of like this estate with an air of being old and haunted with an air of the supernatural about it. Very foreboding and mundane enough to be relatable, but mystical enough to not be out of place in this fantastical setting. So I'm a fan of this, and if I do ever decide to include an Urborg in my deck, I will probably try to pick up this specific printing. Pretty sweet one, if you ask me. So anyway, thus concludes my rundown of the art, the new art, as it pertains to BGX playable cards. Now, I won't make a habit out of this type of thing. Like I said earlier in the video, I'm going to analyze Reed Duke's deck list tomorrow, hopefully, and then we'll be going back to our regularly scheduled gameplay videos with perhaps an updated deck tech for my own build coming in the near future as well. So don't worry, this is not changing into an art criticism channel or anything like that, but I thought it was a fun little diversion. It's something I kind of wanted to get the ball rolling in terms of discussion on. So of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what your favorites are, what doesn't quite cut it for you, what the hits and misses are in terms of this new art. And let's, of course, hope we also see a lot of value in the uncommon slot in terms of this set. So it's worth the steep cost, and so lots of people crack it, and we get these cards widely distributed. That's, of course, the ideal. And yeah, so fun little talk here, fun little diversion. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you, as always, for watching. Thanks again for the flood of subscriptions. I will be joining the Facebook group dedicated to BG Rock soon, and I will see you all there. I will see you all, hopefully, as well for the next video. Thank you for watching, and have a great night. I will talk to you soon.